All right, so we're ready to get started, and we're really excited about having Unbounce here today. Ryan Engley is with us from Unbounce, and Unbounce is a company that I've been following for quite a while, and it's something that we at RingPartner use quite a bit to build landing pages and help develop our campaigns. So just a couple housekeeping things. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ringpartner, as well as on our blog, which is ringpartner.com/blog. If you don't get a copy, feel free to email us at distribution@ringpartner.com, and we'll make sure that you can get the recording and get access to it. I'm your host today. My name is Mike Williams. I'm the VP of Marketing here at RingPartner, and this is another webinar as part of our continued effort to educate and train our partners on not only pay-per-call but online marketing, and help you be more successful in your marketing, whether that involves pay-per-call or other forms of lead generation. And so we're very excited to, like I said, have Unbounce here to teach and show us about landing pages and what elements are key to the success of your campaign, and how to create a quality landing page, but also a landing page that converts really well. So feel free to ask questions throughout the session, and I will interrupt Ryan and hopefully be able to get that question answered. But we'll also do a Q&A at the end, so feel free to ask those questions throughout, and we'll try to address them as we go along and make sure that they get answered. I'll let Ryan talk a little bit about Unbounce, but a little bit about Ryan. He is the Director of Customer Success at Unbounce, and Ryan eats, sleeps, and breathes customer success and marketing. He's no stranger to the classroom as well. He briefly taught elementary school. He's spoken on leadership, conversion rate optimization, and loves making points with terrible memes and horrible illustrations. And when he's not talking landing pages, he can either be found practicing yoga like a good Vancouverite or playing Mario Kart poorly, unfortunately. So that's one of my favorite games, Ryan, as well. We play that quite a bit with the family. It's a good game for everyone.
Oh, it's the best. No, lately we have Super Smash Brothers here at the office now as well. I'm equally bad. Actually, I'm probably worse at Smash Brothers.
Awesome, yeah. Cool. So with that, I will hand things over to you and let you do your thing. And like I said, I'm really excited to see this presentation as well. So thanks for doing this, and have at it.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. So as Mike said, I am the Director of Customer Success at Unbounce. I'm just going to go back to the slide we had up a moment ago. So Unbounce is a landing page builder for marketers. If you haven't had the chance to work with us before, it's a way for you to build, publish, and test landing pages for all of your marketing campaigns. A lot of marketers know that they need landing pages. They're just a huge pain in the ass to get built. So that's where we step in. But then I've noticed that there's actually a really, really big segment of people who still don't quite understand why they should bother using landing pages. So we're going to get into a little bit of why you would want to use them today, as well as how to build an effective page. As a bonus here, if you check out that URL at the bottom, which is tryunbounce.com with /RingPartner, you will get a 30-day free trial, and then you'll also get 80% off the month following that. So it'll give you a couple months to test Unbounce out with RingPartner, and it'll be, straight up, it's a really good deal, and hopefully you'll see good ROI from it as you get started. Like Mike said, I did teach elementary school. I taught grade 5, 6, and the joke about illustrations was that seriously, I found most of the time, if you go through like text and notes, people just wouldn't get it, but if you could draw things out, kids would understand. And that spills over into the way that I talk about all of this stuff, so hopefully you'll find it, kind of entertaining. No one wants to sit through a super boring webinar. And on that note, this content is for you, right? You're here to learn, so share your questions. I far, far prefer webinars that are really interactive, like Mike and I can get some discussion going, maybe get some heated arguments. I don't know who's better at Mario Kart, probably me, no big deal. I'm just totally joking, Mike, I'm awful. Yeah, you can also tweet at us. So at the bottom left you can see my Twitter handle there. I checked this morning, I have 999 followers on Twitter, so if maybe you could like push me over to 1,000, that you would legit make my day. But tweet at me. Obviously, I'm not going to answer the tweets during the session, but I will get to them afterwards as well. So let's dive in. We're going to talk about how to build high-converting dynamic landing pages. This says with Unbounce, but legitimately this is kind of with or without Unbounce. These are just some marketing principles that will apply regardless of how you choose to build these pages. I just happen to think that Unbounce is a really rad tool that you could use to do it as well. So first up, I'm going to make Oprah a little bit angry here, and I'm going to make some assumptions. I've always learned, don't make assumptions. Make sure, if you're going to guess something, that you do a perception check and that you understand where people are standing from. So Oprah is all like, hold the phone. Let's stop here and clarify. So I'm going to clarify. Assumption number one: you are marketers, like this guy. This is Corey Dilly from our marketing team. This is him working on some marketing campaigns. So that's assumption number two. You are marketers and you are running marketing campaigns. If you are doing neither of these things, I can't guarantee you'll get a lot of value from this session. But at the very least, maybe you'll be kind of entertained. I don't know. That's a big promise, to be entertained. But regardless, you are marketers, you are running campaigns. If you're running campaigns, it's probably because you're trying to get leads over to a sales team or because you're trying to create new opportunities. And I bet that if you have salespeople or if you have a sales team, they want more leads. So that's your job as a marketer, to run campaigns to get more people in the door over to your sales team who can drive more business. But odds are good if you're working for someone else, if you're not a small business or an entrepreneur working independently, if you have a boss, probably a jerk boss like me, who refuses to up your budget, you're being asked to run more campaigns, get more leads, and do more, with the same amount of money that you've already got. Straight up, like how do you do this? How do you deliver more for the same amount of money with all of these demands placed on you? Simply, like, you just need better ROI on your marketing campaigns. And you may be rolling your eyes and thinking, Ryan, like, that's kind of a no-brainer. Well, yeah, I mean, in principle, it is a no-brainer. For the record, I'm going to say no-brainer a lot of times in this session. So, tweet at Ryan, hashtag no-brainer. It is a thing that's going to happen. So you need better ROI on your campaigns. I get it. Seems super straightforward, but how do you do that? Because one does not simply get better ROI. You're right. You are right, Boromir from Lord of the Rings. One does not simply get better ROI. So let's go over to Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil is going to tell us that in a perfect world, in order to get better ROI, you would have a ton of campaigns on the go. You would reduce your marketing spend, obviously, so more campaigns, less money being spent, and you would destroy your targets. So whether that's lead generation, trial starts, phone calls, purchases, whatever the case may be, you are doing more, spending less money, and getting more out of them. I tried to do a Google image search for do more with less, and like legit, the images were just awful. So to get more, I said you need better ROI, you need to do these things, you need to do more with what you've already got. This is what Google tells me doing more with less looks like. And can we just take a moment to appreciate how bad these are? Like, I understand keep calm and carry on for what it originally was, but the fact that keep calm and do more with less appears not once but twice in the Google image search for do more with less, and then a guy doing 2 + 2 = 5, like, just terrible metaphors. But hopefully you can understand the point here. So I thought this was a little more appropriate. This is Wally. He is, he's trying to just do so much, and it seems so daunting. As a marketer, you're probably like looking at your targets and the spend that you've got and thinking, like, how the hell am I supposed to do this? Well, I know it seems daunting. I know it can be stressful, but there are ways that you can do this, and that's what today's session is about. Fundamentally, really, like, getting higher conversion or getting better ROI is about getting more of the prospects that you have interacting with your content, your website, going through your purchase funnel. It's getting as many of those people as possible to scream a big Jim Carrey yes. I've never seen this movie, but I did like a search for yes, and then Yes Man came up, and I was pleasantly surprised that Jim Carrey could be featured in today's webinar. So anyway, you need to get as many prospects as possible to say yes to whatever it is that you're doing. So if you are running paid ads, if you are trying to book consultations, if you are giving away an ebook or a white paper, if you're trying to get people to register for a webinar, or if you're getting click-to-call, you want people to contact you, whatever it is that you're trying to do, it doesn't matter. Anytime you ask your prospects to do something, you want as many of them as possible to say yes, and that's what this is about. Landing pages, as it happens, are one way that you can do that, so that's why we're going to be talking about them. But I know that as marketers, you probably don't really care that much about landing pages. You care about campaigns. You care about ROI and conversion, and that's what this is. Landing pages are just a tool for you to get there. So you need as many yeses as possible. These tend to be kind of low-hanging fruit for a lot of people. I say low-hanging fruit when we're looking at like paid ads and ebooks and white papers, and you're thinking, Ryan, you're an asshole. Like, I come into work every day and work my butt off, and you're telling me this is no big deal. It's not, obviously. It's a lot of work. That's why we have jobs. That's why we do the work that we do. But what I see time and time again from the marketers we work with is that when they are running paid ads, trying to book consultations, give away ebooks, these tend to be pages on their websites. So you are spending a lot of money running, let's say, paid ads through Google AdWords. Someone clicks that ad, and then they go to what is, ostensibly a landing page on your website. But there's a nav bar, there's distraction, there's a lot going on, there's other content they can access, which is something you want to avoid. Because your website should contain a lot of information. Your website is your brand central station. It's busy, and I know, brand central station, hilarious. Thank you, Liz Lemon. But legitimately, like, your website is a busy place. You have lots of traffic, and there are lots of places for the prospects and visitors to your website to go. You probably have a features page. You probably have an About Us page. There's likely a book a consultation page, or download, like I said, resources, download an ebook, subscribe to our blog. But what's the focus? Like, if your website has that much that you are asking people to do, and you're giving them this buffet of options, how are you ever going to get them to follow through with your one conversion goal? Because every campaign should have one goal, and when you are directing campaigns to your website where there are many, many distractions, like lots of distractions, you're dead in the water. You are killing yourself before you even get started. Let me show you an example. So this is a homepage for a company called Atlassian. They create Jira, which is software that we use here at Unbounce on the development side. And they also, they also create HipChat, which is another tool that we use. But anyway, this is their homepage. Super long, lots of content. And this happens to also be a marketing campaign. Like, there's a campaign running to this page. And I'm going to show you why that is a terrible idea. So let's zoom in a little bit. So there we get a little more information. We can see some of the header, some of the buttons, the various plans, just a lot of what's going on. Let's zoom in again and again. There we go. So if we got to this website, this is what we would see. You can check out their products, the company, you can try it, you can buy it. There's an overview, pricing, what's new, so on and so forth. But if you are a marketer, and if you are driving traffic to this page, you really have one goal. And that goal is in the bottom left. It's that green button that says try it for free. Now let me show you something. There are a lot of interaction points on this website. Interaction points are basically anywhere somebody can do something. Clicking that green try it for free button is an interaction point. Opening that products menu up top and then seeing what's within it is an interaction point. Clicking to your pricing page is an interaction point. Watching this video, so on and so forth.
Hey, Ryan.
If we look at the entire page,
Ryan?
And yeah.
Sorry. Do you want to? Can you just go back to that? Because one of the one of the big things that the people that are in this webinar are probably really interested in is generating calls. And for us, we're a pay-per-call only network, so we only deal in calls. But sometimes there's different types of users that want to do different things. So somebody who may not want to pick up the phone right away. So you kind of talked about different points of interaction, but we sometimes will put the phone number all over the place, but there's other options. So somebody may want to submit a lead form rather than actually pick up the phone. I don't know if you have any sort of suggestions for how to do that, because I feel like some people would pick up the phone and want to talk to somebody, whereas others may just want to submit a lead form and remain somewhat anonymous. So I don't know if you had any sort of feedback on that specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that has to do with having a good understanding of like your customer life cycle. And I mean, if it's sales, then kind of your sales funnel. Because presumably, people who are just learning about your company and just learning about your products are going to want something like a website where they can poke around, learn a little bit more about you, kind of find out what the deal is in general. And at that point, they probably aren't ready to submit a form or make a phone call. So at the very top of the funnel, it is still more like an exploration and a discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And websites serve that purpose very well. Again, brand central station. Lots of options, lots of people they can kind of explore on their own. But as they move down the funnel, you can probably see people are coming back, or let's say you do some retargeting and you're trying to deliver ads over and over to people. As they move further down that funnel, you should be able to focus that. Typically, what we find is people will, they'll check out Unbounce and probably subscribe to our blog. That's usually kind of step number one. So that's what we go for first. Then afterwards, we might try and deliver them some ebooks. So then, we'll get them to download these ebooks. Then further after that, once they're more familiar with our brand, once they're more familiar with our content, then we will present them with something like, our phone number or the opportunity to book a sales consultation. So it is really knowing kind of at what point you're interacting with people in your funnel, and then just delivering like the right call to action at the right time.
Right. Okay. And I'll let you get back to it, but I wanted to let you know that you did hit the 1,000 followers. You're actually at 1,002, so you're over the mark. Finally.
Thank you, RingPartner attendees. I was at like the 960 glass ceiling for like a year.
Oh yeah.
So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
But yeah, if you have any more questions, if anyone has any more questions about that idea of kind of the point in the sales funnel at which you deliver a particular call to action, we can talk about that for sure.
Cool.
But then going back to the idea of, like, let's say with something like a paid ad, I'm going to make the assumption that you are bidding on keywords when someone actually is showing intent. So it's not quite exploration at this point. With something like Jira, this is, let's say, project management software. So if someone searches project management software, they get your ad, they click through from that ad to the website, and then they see Plan, Track, Work Smarter and Faster, and it's this kind of general website with a lot of information. You're not giving them what they want. If someone is searching project management software, you should be able to deliver a very tailored message, at which point you could also either get them to start a trial, I might not at that point, or give them some more content about how to manage projects better, why your software would be great for it, or again, like book a consultation or book a demo, or request a demo so that you can continue that conversation. But if you were to run a campaign like that and then send it to your homepage or to your website, let me click in here. So these are all the various interaction points on this page, and they continue to go. Like you saw that this was a really long page. There are stars for days on this page. And that's something that we refer to as this ratio of interaction points, like possible interaction points, to the one desired campaign goal is something we call attention ratio. And this page has an attention ratio of 130 interaction points to one desired campaign goal, which is disastrous. So attention ratio is the ratio of things you can do on a given page to the number of things you should be doing.
What if those are all...
That's not to say that that is a bad homepage.
Hey, Brad?
Yep.
Sorry, I was just curious. One of the things that we do quite a bit is we'll put the phone number on there multiple times. What if those attention ratio, what if those things that grab your attention all have the same sort of goal? So every time it's a call, but they're just placed in different places.
Oh, then you're laughing. No, that's, okay. I mean, the goal, because if you have a phone number on a website kind of at the top right, as most people do, if you have several buttons throughout the page that if you were on let's say like a mobile phone, and it would trigger kind of a click to call, if the goal of any of those interaction points is start a phone call, then the goal is still the same. There's still just one goal, which is call me.
Cool. Yeah,
regardless of how many there are.
I make sure, over and over that, call now, call us, here's our contact number, that sort of stuff. So I place it quite a bit just to make sure we don't miss that opportunity. So. Yeah,
absolutely. Especially you'll see if you're building like a longer page, particularly a longer page on a phone, where someone might start at the top, see your unique selling proposition. There might be a button there to kind of call, but they're thinking, oh, well, I'd like to know a little bit more about this company. And then they scroll down. They see your hero shot. They continue to scroll. They see your features and benefits, and there's another CTA. Then they get to the bottom to your closing argument, which really like sells them, and then you have another CTA there. You're just making it easier for them to convert. That's conversion-centered design.
Perfect. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so having multiple calls to action is okay as long as the goal of those calls to action is the same. You just don't want competing calls to action. Like you don't want one that sends them to a shopping cart, one that submits a form, and then one that's a phone call. Because now you've got kind of 3 different goals. And if you don't know what the purpose of your page is, neither will your visitors. So attention ratio is the ratio of things you can do on a given page to the number of things you should be doing. And for your marketing campaigns, your attention ratio should always be 1 to 1. So you want to make sure that, again, you can have repeated calls to action, but the goal of those calls to action needs to be the same. So let's take a look at their website again. Let's give it a bit of a revamp. There we go. You know, you can look at this and you can take a deep breath because it is so much calmer and so much more focused. So if you look at the nav we had up top, the My Account, the languages, the overview, and the pricing overview, and we strip that all away, now you have just a very, very focused experience, and the likelihood that someone, in this case, will try it for free, or if it were, if you're trying to trigger phone calls, the likelihood that someone would actually click to start that call is far, far higher because you're focusing them on that call to action. So the attention ratio there is 1 to 1. Here's another example. This one's a lead gen example. This is a page of ours from Unbounce. This was an ebook download page. So you can see there's the form. That's our call to action. We want people to put in their email address and get the guide. And then below that, we have some links to some other content. This is user-centered design. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to find various bits of content. So that's why we did that. We also included some social share links there as well. But if we were to adhere to the tenet that I am preaching, which is an attention ratio of 1 to 1 on your landing pages, then you would have this page on the right, where there's just that one form, none of the distracting links. So there's the form. So attention ratio of 10 to 1 on the left and an attention ratio of 1 to 1 on the right. And what we saw from that particular test was that the variant on the right with the focused attention ratio actually had a 31% higher conversion rate with a confidence rating of 95%. So without changing anything, like this is the same spend on the campaign, this is the same traffic volume, we now have 31% more leads coming through just because we focused the call to action on one thing. It doesn't matter if it's a form, it doesn't matter if it's a button, it doesn't matter if it's a phone call, the philosophy is the same, and it has been proven repeatedly that you will get higher conversions if you focus your attention ratio. So that's really why you want to be using landing pages, because when attention ratio goes down, conversion rates go up. And landing pages serve a very, very specific purpose, and that's basically it. So if you know that, and if you're sitting here and you're like, okay, brilliant, I get it. Like, I understand. Ryan has illustrated the point. However, we're really busy. We have a lot going on. People cannot build these pages. It's too much work. This is basically how you're choosing to handle life. Like, you see that there's something going on around you, but you are just choosing to ignore it. And if anything, my goal today is for you to no longer ignore this and to seize the opportunity, because there is a lot of opportunity there. Just to leave you with kind of one final bit on this point, I would like to introduce a principle that we have developed here at Unbounce, which is called the Nem Squalled Principle. Very easy. You can check it out. That domain is available if you want to purchase it. I highly recommend this. It is a great opportunity. But in sum, it just means never start a marketing campaign without a dedicated landing page. Whatever kind of campaign you're running, lead gen, click-through, phone call, doesn't matter. You need one page with one call to action that your visitors will follow through with. You will get much higher conversion rates and better ROI on your campaigns. Mike, this is probably a good opportunity to take some questions if we have any that have come in.
Sure. Yeah, there's a few that have come in. Let's just kind of run through here. Someone's asking about whether we're going to focus on call-based landing pages and it's not going to be the main focus of the webinar, but I think that you'll probably touch on some of that, correct?
Yeah, you know what, I have to apologize because in the work that that we have done and a lot of the research we've done, it almost always is lead generation and click-through. As I said, call-based landing pages, I mean, the principles are the same. One of the biggest differences will be that instead of running them on like desktop machines, they will be focused on mobile. So we can definitely get into mobile a little bit. We can talk. I mean, there's some things that are slightly different with mobile. Basically, that you want to keep your content and your messages a little bit more concise. But it's very transferable. It is exactly the same whether it's click-to-call, lead gen, or click-through.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. And you brought this up kind of earlier, talking about the stage of the funnel that people are at. And I think it's a good point to bring up that people will call at a certain stage, so it really depends on what kind of keywords or where you're advertising, targeting your marketing efforts to make sure that you're getting people that are at the stage where they're ready to call. So you wouldn't want to necessarily advertise on a review or comparison type keyword because those people aren't quite ready to buy. They may not be ready to pick up the phone. They may be willing to fill out a form, but you want them at the point where they're like, I want to talk to someone about auto insurance or purchasing a car or something like that. So I think that's a really good point for everyone that's on the webinar today is to think about if you want to drive phone calls, you need to think of where the caller or the potential caller is at in the stage of the funnel. So if they're just reading the blog and trying to get interested in the company, they're not quite ready to call. So I think that's a really good point. But there's quite a few questions here. I think that some of these we can cover at the end. But here's one. I'll just ask one right now that just came in. Do you have pages specially designed for higher AdWords quality scores?
You know what? I have some tips that I can share in that context. I don't have them included in this slide deck. This slide deck was more about just kind of building high converting landing pages in general. But if this if this person wants, I can either email afterwards.
Sure.
But one of the, just kind of at a high level, like one of the things we're going to get into when we talk about your unique selling proposition, like your headline, is context and relevance. And when it comes to quality score, Google cares a lot about context and relevance. So it will kind of come up at that point. One other option you have is if you are using Google's like dynamic keyword insertion feature where you're taking search terms and then you're adding them, you're inserting them directly into your ads, that tends to yield higher click rates for those ads. The challenge, though, is maintaining that conversation and that message through from search term to ad to landing page. So very often you'll get ads that are now relevant, but then you will go to landing pages or campaigns that are irrelevant. Those terms aren't passed along. So if you can implement like dynamic content on your landing pages as well, where you're able to pass that content along, for one, if you can do it server-side, where it actually exists within the content of the page, Google will believe that those keywords exist on your page, and that improves relevance, which will improve quality score. From a user standpoint, that tends to improve time on page and click-through, which will improve quality score. So, yeah, like context and relevance are critical in that sense.
Yeah, and I think that just on that is that I don't think you can build a template that's going to give you a higher quality score. I think the only thing that Unbounce could specifically do is make sure that those pages load quickly, and then a lot of it's up to the actual marketer to put relevant content on there, make sure you have privacy policy terms and conditions, and all the things that Google looks for in a good quality page. So Unbounce can do a little bit, but a lot of it I think is up to the marketer to make sure that they're creating good quality landing pages that lead to good quality score.
Without getting too salesy, I will say that dynamic text replacement feature I was talking about, we do have it. So we can give you a little bit of a boost there, and we've done some case studies where we have seen really, really significant improvements in quality score and then in reductions in like cost per click by using that feature. So absolutely, Mike, I totally agree with you. Like it is about kind of the bigger campaign that you are creating. And then like the relevance all through like search to add to landing page. But we can back you up a little bit and give you a little bit of an advantage there as well.
Perfect.
Cool. So let's mosey along. And then I was also going to comment so far as the like the landing pages focused on calls as a conversion, and then kind of the point in the funnel or the customer lifecycle. Later on, I will also introduce, like, I'll show our customer lifecycle, or at least half of it, and at that point, I can maybe get into a little bit more, like when you would deliver a particular kind of call to action to your prospects.
Perfect.
All right. So to sum everything up to this point, you now know that when you are running a campaign, you need to have one campaign goal, which is your conversion goal, which is a single call to action on a dedicated, focused landing page without distraction. That is important. So you need to build it, and you're probably super excited. And I don't want to take you down. Keep that excitement. Keep it going. But Kevin Costner is here. To say, the one thing to keep in mind, though, is even if you build it exactly correctly, you won't just get the conversions. There are some things that you need to make sure you include on those pages to get the highest conversions possible. So by directing traffic to a landing page instead of your website, in research it's been shown that you will kind of right off the bat get like a 25% boost in conversion rate. And that's pretty solid considering you don't have to change much in regards to the content itself. But we're going to go through a couple of principles here all together as a fellowship, because we are in this together, and I'll show you what elements you should be including on your page, what kind of purpose they serve, and you'll see how they can improve conversion rates overall. So every successful landing page has 5 critical elements. The next 2 screenshots that I have are for a lead gen page and a click-through page. I would classify kind of the click-to-call in the click-through variety there. Again, doesn't matter if it's desktop or mobile, it's the same. You'll have your buttons with your call to action on them. Whether it's to make a purchase or to place a phone call, it doesn't really matter. The format of the content will be the same. So those pages need to include five different things. Those are, number 1, your unique selling proposition. Number 2 is your hero shot, or kind of showing your offering. Number 3 is the benefits, which should really address the pains that your visitors feel, and it helps build rapport and kind of proves that you can solve the problems they've got. Number 4 is some proof, basically backing that up. You're going to make some claims, and why should people believe you? This establishes trust and helps tip people over. And then lastly, 5 is your call to action. So give people a way to actually convert. Which, going back to the no-brainer, you would be surprised. I have clicked ads and been on landing pages that have no call to action, and I'll just leave it at that. You need a call to action. So number 1, your USP, or your unique selling proposition. So a USP should have 4 bits. Again, doesn't matter what kind of landing page it is. These things will be important, desktop, mobile, regardless. So number 1 is your main headline, which serves the purpose to basically keep people on the page. They have clicked through, and your headline will kind of reaffirm to them that they have made a good click and that they are in the right place. Number 2 is a supporting headline. If your headline is Batman, this is Robin. It's kind of your superhero sidekick. It helps deliver the 1-2 punch. They will read your headline, and then the supporting headline should reinforce what you've just gone through. There should be, again, like a reinforcing statement there, further backing those up. And then lastly, a closing argument, which is kind of like the PS in a letter, which incidentally, if you're writing emails and you include a PS at the bottom with a call to action, those convert extremely well. That is a bonus tip for email marketing. So if people can't determine the purpose of your page from your headline and your subhead combined, then you're doing something wrong. Like it should be dead obvious once they click through that they're in the right place. So if you find that your bounce rates are really high, this is an exercise that I would recommend you try. Just find someone who has not seen that landing page, or who doesn't necessarily even know what your service is, or your product, or whatever it is that you're trying to sell on your page. And then just read your headline and your subhead to them, and then ask what the page is about. And they should be able to immediately tell you the page's purpose. If they can't, then your prospects won't know either. So that's a good, that is a good Oprah kind of perception check to make sure that the message you're delivering or the message you think you're delivering is the message that your prospects are understanding. So here's an example. This is slightly different. This kind of further backs that up, and it's the idea of context and relevance. So your headline, as I said, should get people to stay on the page, and this will show you a tactic that you can use to make sure that you're doing it correctly. So this is our landing page conversion course. If you are interested, you can check it out. It is a phenomenal course written by Ollie Gardner, who is one of our founders and now just is on the road speaking all the time, always. And there's an ad in the top right here, brought to you by Unbounce, the landing page builder for marketers. And the goal here is obviously to help people become better marketers, but if you click that ad, it goes through to a landing page. And initially, this was the landing page. So there's our unique selling proposition: build, publish, and test your new landing pages without IT. You know, it's pretty solid. Kind of tells you what Unbounce is all about. You've got the subhead: create landing pages in hours, not weeks. If you're a marketer who's building landing pages, that is a pain you feel. You know that it takes a really long time to get pages built, and now you can build them really quickly instead. But there's a challenge here. There's no context. If you have come from the Smart Marketers landing page conversion course, and now we're immediately asking you to build, publish, and test your new landing pages without IT, you might not even know that you have this problem, that you have this IT problem. And this goes back to that idea of delivering the right message at the right point in your prospect's funnel. So we made some changes to this page because we realized, like, oh man, we're basically not telling people that we recognize who they are and where they've come from and where they're going. So this is the different version. It kind of looks the same. The copy has changed a little bit. But you'll notice what we did is we added the logo for the landing page conversion course to the very top of it. And we also we connected the dots and said, yeah, that conversion course that you're taking is brought to you by Unbounce. That's us. And then we changed our headline. And the headline we just made really conversational. So we said, hey, how's the landing page course going? That immediately tells someone when they click that ad that they've gone to the right place. Because it's like, yeah, I was just there, and now I'm here, and thank you. That course is going really well. Also, you're ready to build some high-converting landing pages? Actually, I am, because I've just been taking this course that you recognized I'm taking, and now you're going to solve a problem that I've got. I don't have the stats from this one offhand, but we did see a pretty significant improvement in conversion as soon as we launched this. I believe it was around like 15 to 20%.
Hey Ryan,
it was pretty solid. Yeah.
That brings up a pretty good point. A lot of because we're affiliates or publishers, a lot of times the publishers go out and find niches and angles and keywords and stuff that are niche related, and then they're not as directly related to a campaign. So I think that it's a good opportunity to use that landing page to kind of bridge the gap. So as an example, if someone's, if you're promoting like a locksmith campaign and you find some niche for, a certain type of safe that, requires a locksmith to help you with it, somebody might be advertising on that. It's a good opportunity to put that content on the landing page and sort of remind the user the path that they're taking, and that you're going to kind of pass them off to a more generic campaign. So I think it's a really good opportunity to make that connection, so that when they do pick up the phone, or they do make the call, or they do move on in the process, that they know, I looked up safes and I had an issue with this brand, and now I'm calling this locksmith, and then they're actually passed off, and then someone will answer the phone and say, hey, Joe's Locksmith, and it's just a good opportunity to kind of bridge the gap and use the landing page as that bridge.
Absolutely. I wouldn't even say it's a good opportunity. I would say it's
opportunity
critical.
Okay.
People need that. If you do that, if you can recognize what someone has searched for and you can bridge the gap, exactly like you said, that is 100% the purpose of the landing pages, and you will see a reduction in your bounce rate. I guarantee it.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think it's just a really good reminder for everyone that's here today. So.
And to further reinforce that, I'm just going to put this in big bold letters and say that you need to focus on context when you are writing your headline on your landing pages. It is not about you. It is not about the solution you are proposing, and it is not about, hey, give me a call. you need to make it about your prospects. You need to recognize, again, where they're coming from, what they searched for, why they've arrived there. And yeah, like you can see where they're headed. Like you understand the goal. If you're having a problem with the safe, for sure, like the goal is a locksmith. But if someone searches safe and then you immediately present locksmith, they'll think, oh, they don't know what I'm talking about. I'm looking for something related to safes. But if you can recognize that the safe, exactly as you said, Mike, then they'll think, okay, I'm in the right place. Reading through, oh, locksmith, say, yeah, that makes sense. I will click this button. I will, place a phone call so that I can talk to somebody about this. Because context is like Velcro. And the more you have of it, the better your visitors will stick. I promise you that. And that is Ollie, who created the e-course. That is an Ollieism. So I had to give some credit there. So number 2 of the 5 elements is your hero shot. And this is like your product or your offering. Or your service. This is basically just showing people, if your headline is there to get them there and to keep them on the page and show them they have made a good click, your hero shot exists to kind of further back that up, and it will, it'll make your product or service stand out. This was a bit of a joke. Like I was kind of looking for examples, and I came across Snuggie. And as it happens, like as seen on TV, products are kind of good at the hero shot, mostly because they're selling stuff that by and large, we don't really know we need. Like they're creating problems we don't know we have and then presenting us with solutions for them. If someone pitched a Snuggie and explained like it's a blanket with arms, you would probably just sit there and think, well, obviously I don't need that. And perhaps when you look at this, you think, well, I don't need that either. But they've done a really good job of showing like how it should be used. But Snuggie aside, combine your USP, which we just went through, and then your hero shot show exactly what your page is all about. This is, again, another example from Unbounce where we had the ultimate guide to landing page optimization, everything you need to know about LPO, and it was an ebook. So, we showed a big ebook on the page, which allows people to look at it and within just a couple of seconds know exactly what the page is about. To further kind of hit this point home, I have a question for you. Which is I'm about to show you an image, and I'm going to ask you, what does this do? So, Mike, I don't know if you know, but maybe do you want to chime in? Like, do you have an idea of what that is?
Yeah, I think I actually own one of these.
Oh, okay, there you
Actually,
go.
I think I own 2 of them. My mom had one from like the 80s, the original. I don't know what the name is, but.
All right, but. It's okay. Well, it is a slap chop. Like everyone has seen the ads for the slap chop, but going back to the concept of like as seen on TV sort of products where they're creating problems that we don't necessarily know we have. To look at dice chop mince in seconds, and then if they showed us that either the image that I presented there on the previous page, or even what it looks like when it's all folded up properly. It's hard to connect the dots and really understand what the purpose is. And so your hero shot can also display context of use, which will show your product in action. And I'm pretty sure that most people here have seen this ad with Vince Shlomi like chopping away because he makes it super memorable. But this video served a very, very good purpose, which is to show exactly why someone would want your product and, of course, the problem that it solves for them. One comment, though, on this landing page is just like, remember attention ratio. Like, go back to what I was saying before about the focused call to action, because there's a lot going on this page. And even though they do a good job of showing what the product is through that video, there's just a lot of distractions, which is something you would want to minimize. So overall, if you look at the ebook here and how big it is, like your hero shot should really dominate your page. It kind of triggers the lizard brain where you see that one big image and will help your visitors quickly connect the dots. Your headline gets them there, the hero shot further reinforces it, and then creates this Oprah-esque aha moment. I don't know why I keep referencing Oprah. I don't actually even like her that much, even though she's famously successful and has her own network and whatever. But your hero shot will create an Oprah aha moment for your prospects. And seeing your product or service in action produces that moment that can then trigger the purchasing decision. So your USP gets them there, keeps them there. Your hero shot can then kind of deliver that aha moment that will make people realize they need what you're offering, which then leads to your call to action, regardless of what that call to action is. So the third bit you're going to want to make sure to include on your landing pages is a list of your features and benefits. This one is kind of hard to talk about because everybody knows they need it, and even really good copywriters have a hard time coming up with these. So I'm going to just relay a couple of points that I've learned and that I tend to see from our customers and from other marketers that I've worked with. So if your headline is to create context and to keep people on your page, and then your hero shot is to kind of further reinforce your offering and help them understand that yes, they are in the right place, this is what you're offering for them, this is why they should be here. Your features and benefits should be persuasive. You should be further kind of establishing rapport with your prospects and identifying the problems that they have. Whatever, like if you're, again, bidding on particular keywords or search terms, you should have an idea of why people are bidding on those and why they have clicked the ad and why they have come to the landing page and how the solution that you are proposing addresses their pain points. So features and benefits are all about pain points and problems. So your benefits should attach directly to the pain that your prospects feel. This is a company called Intercom. I'm using a lot of software examples here. I apologize. It's the world that I know. It's the one that I tend to work in most frequently, so that's why it's here. And even though this isn't a feature and benefit, I just want to say I think they have a really great headline on this page. So the idea is users are signing up. You need to engage them before they walk away. So right away, if that's a problem I have where I have software and I want to make sure that the people signing up for our software stick with us, this keeps me on the page immediately. And then digging into the features and benefits, leave no sign up behind. Great, because they are talking directly to a problem that I have. So that's kind of I would say the benefit is I won't leave any of my signups behind. It's not a feature. They're speaking to the problem that I have. The feature is right below it, where it says automatically email people who drop off and get them back on track. Mike, can you, I'm going to go through a couple more examples from this page, but can you think of, let's say, like a particular industry or vertical that, the people you tend to work with would be able to relate to?
Yeah, I think, there's some of the key categories that really work for us are like home services, so like plumbers, locksmiths, different, construction renovation or, installing I want to say like Comcast or something, but we also do quite a bit of financial stuff, so payday, mortgage leads, or like auto repair, appliance repair. And then anything that can be basically sold over the phone. A lot of insurance, auto insurance, health insurance, that sort of stuff.
Right. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, regardless of whether it is insurance or financial or like a plumber or a locksmith, people are looking for your solution for a reason, and you should really have a very clear idea of what that is. If you're a plumber, there are going to be a couple of different reasons. Either it's an emergency, and there's probably a flood. Oh, excuse me, that was my timer for the session. Maybe there's a leak and there's a flood, and that's going to be an emergency, which you will be able to get conversions from that, I would guess, really quickly, as long as you can identify that you're someone that can help with it, and you provide them an easy way to get in touch and very, very low friction. Or maybe it's longer term. Maybe they need to redo the plumbing in their house, which is going to be a much longer kind of sales process. It's about knowing why people have looked for you, and then, like I said, just really addressing that pain for them. As another example with Intercom, I'll just breeze through these. They further reinforce it with another benefit, which is show new users how to get started. If someone is purchasing the software because people aren't adopting it, well, along with keeping all of your signups involved, you can make sure that everyone knows how to get started, and then further to that, turn your users into power users. So these are all kind of ideals. This is the problem I experience, and this is the way I want the world to be. So again, just ask yourself, what problem am I solving for my prospects? This is the life cycle that I mentioned earlier on when I said that I could tackle kind of when to deliver messaging to people. And this is something I keep in mind all the time. It doesn't matter if it's a service like Unbounce or if it is someone who is just really thirsty and needs to go buy a pop or something. There are people who, they will fall into these three categories. They will either be problem unaware, which is where the problem exists, but they don't necessarily know that they have it yet. If someone is, well, I was going to use thirst as an example and water, but that's not a great example here. If you are, if you are a plumber and, if you know, or an electrician, and you know that someone is buying a house or, that the wiring needs to be redone, but the people in the home may not know, they would fall into this phase. Like the problem exists for them, but they haven't realized they have that issue yet. And you can, at this point, probably build some rapport, identify some of the problems they're experiencing, and the more you can do that, then they'll realize like, oh, okay, yeah, that's me. I'm that person. I do have that issue. So that moves them into a state of problem awareness. And so this phase is very, very focused on education. It's about recognizing the world as it is right now for those people, and then helping them understand that this problem does exist, and here's why they should care. So problem awareness is the second phase, which is, okay, I get it. I know that I have electrical issues in my old home, and that in order for it to be as safe as possible, I need to do something about it. But electrical work is expensive. It's daunting. I don't know if I can trust the electricians that I've met. So those are probably some of the doubts that people will have at this phase. And if you can know that your prospects are in this phase, then that's when you can follow up with some more information related to either quotes or estimates, maybe some social proof explaining that you're very trustworthy. And then lastly, once they know about your solution, whatever it is that you're offering, kind of getting them to complete the full transaction. So that was a much bigger picture idea. That's looking at the campaign in general, not a single landing page. But even when you're building a landing page, these same principles apply, where the content at the top of the page can maybe address more problem awareness, which is, again, like the problems people are feeling. Problem awareness is more about the pains they feel. And then lastly, it's the solution that you're offering and then the conversion that you're asking for. All right, so we got two more of these to go through in just a couple of minutes here. Social proof is the fourth one. And as a quick little game here, I'm just going to ask, would you rather? So there are two options here. So number one, would you rather eat at this restaurant? So looking around, there are many employees working. You will probably get decent service. They don't look like they're super busy. Or would you want to eat at this restaurant? So that's like that in a nutshell is social proof, and that's the purpose that social proof should serve on your landing page. It just shows how much trust people place in you, and how much people like you and like your service and your offering. So I mean, this is a pretty basic idea, but I think it reinforces the point quite well. So would you rather eat here where there's nobody, or would you rather eat here where there's a massive lineup? Social proof serves to build trust and then persuade through herd mentality. Basecamp is another service here. So we've got this woman who has her testimonial. For all of my projects, I use Basecamp to keep track of every file, discussion, event from beginning to end, all in one place. And if we go back to that example of being an electrician, you would want to get testimonials from the customers you've worked with. They can probably vouch for you and just say, he was the most professional, kind, friendly, understanding electrician or contractor we'd ever worked with. He was able to come into our house. It wasn't disruptive. It was quick. It was clean. We thought that we got great value from it. So anyone that you work with, you want to be able to collect positive testimonials to be able to just establish trust with people down the road when they come to find your product or service. And then, further to that, just beneath is 97% of customers recommend Basecamp, which is just a nice quick summary, which you could do something as well, where if you're an electrician, I just keep going back to that one since I'm using it now, or if you're a plumber, it doesn't matter. You could say 97% of the customers I've worked with would, hire me again.
Hey, Ryan.
You don't want to lie. Yeah.
I just got a comment here that says, I'm from Montreal. I've been to Schwartz. It's all right. Known for smoked meat. So there's some more social proof.
There you go. Some more social proof. It exists. Social proof is all around.
Yeah. Funny.
I really got to go. We opened an office in Montreal last year, and I've only been there once, but I have not been to Schwartz. So I'm glad that along with the photo, I also get a thumbs up from the attendees here. So on top of testimonials, there can be things like brands. If you are a bigger product or service and there are going to be recognizable companies working with you, then you can add those logos to your landing page as well. Because when people come to your pages and they're looking at your offering, logos, like if you look at the bottom here, these are just a variety of different tech companies. You know, if I'm looking for a service, I'll see those and think, hey man, like I really want to be like them. And likewise, if that's something you're able to leverage on your pages, then when people come and see, you know, they aspire to be like these other people or these other services, it will further reinforce their decision to buy and convert on your page. People love having decisions made for them. I could show you some examples and some tests that have been run that show that people get paralyzed when they have too many options. So leveraging social proof really just helps make purchasing decisions easier for people. And it's something that I think, you know, can probably have a very, very high impact on even something like click-to-call when people will be doubtful. I think in particular industries like insurance, like plumbers, maybe carpenters, I think there tends to be a lot of mistrust, and social proof will really help tackle that mistrust and help you kind of get in so that you can then build a relationship with your prospects. Lastly, and kind of most importantly, is your call to action. Because on your landing page, the call to action represents the tipping point between a bounce and a conversion. So people may read your headline and stay on your page. They may see your hero shot and understand what it is you're offering. You know, they may have gone through the features and benefits and realize that you solve the pain that they have, and then they may even go through your social proof and realize that, okay, this is, you know, this is a credible service. This is someone that I should be working with. But it doesn't matter if you can do all of those things if someone then doesn't convert at the end. Those things all lead up to the conversion. There are some analogies I could use, but I'm not going to. Oh, okay, well now I said it, I will. It's just Ollie, when he talks about this kind of stuff, he tends to say it's sort of like kissing before sex. That's sort of the lead up to the conversion here. So the one thing with your call to action is you got to know where you're headed. Like you should have a very, very clear goal for your landing pages. So your landing page should have one conversion goal, and that doesn't matter whether it is a click-through, like a button for a purchase, lead gen, or a phone call. Your landing page will always have one conversion goal. And ultimately, like your call to action will have two elements, button design and a button copy. Button design will tell your prospects where to click. So in this ad from Salesforce over on the right, it's that dark blue button right there that says watch it in action. Normally, I would say when you create a button on your landing pages, like if you look at any of the templates in Unbounce, we build a lot of contrast into those buttons, and that's intentional. That's so they stand out on the page. And if you use one of the Unbounce templates, I should add, all of this content is already included on them. You just need to go in and fill in the blanks, and you will have a fairly high converting landing page right off the bat. So button design tells people where they need to click, and then button copy tells people why they should click. So that is your call to action. I think the most common call to action I see ever is submit. But please, never, never use the word submit on your CTA button. It is, I think it was created by a developer in like 1984. Let's go with that as a year. And then just gets used regularly ever since then. But yeah, I care a lot about this. There's a quote from me. It was made into like a T-shirt and a poster, and I'm very passionate about not using the word submit because it is such a simple thing, and it actually has a like a fairly significant impact on conversion when people hit your landing pages. Your call to action should instead complete the sentence, I want to something. Like, I want to book a free estimate. Or book my free estimate. I want to talk to an electrician right now. I want to, have a plumber come help. Like, it doesn't matter. You understand the premise here. No submit. Not even like showing a phone number is pretty solid. People know what they're going to get when they click a phone number. But if you're going to use a button, then that button can be a little more engaging and can help kind of tip people over the edge there. If we go back to that Salesforce page and then look at the call to action they have, it is watch it in action. So people know when they get here they're signing up for a demo and that they're then able to see the product in action instead of just submitting the form. So it's pretty critical. So by and large, if you combine like your USP, your hero shot, benefits, proof, and then your call to action, ultimately you're going to end up with this like Captain Planet style 5 powers combined marketing superhero, which will help drive more conversion on your landing pages. And I do want to add, I mentioned earlier on that you will get a free trial and 80% off your first month if you go to that URL at the bottom. But again, just kind of throwing that out there. These templates that are shown on the page are templates available within Unbounce. So you're able to go and just update the headline and update the content. They are all mobile responsive. So if you build a desktop version, you will automatically get like that mobile version as well. So it doesn't matter if people are accessing your content on a desktop or on a phone, you're delivering it in the right format for them. And you're even able to kind of adjust the content on the mobile page so that you can have it a little more succinct. And if you want, you can include like way more calls to action, way more call links than you would on the desktop one. But Mike, are there, now would be kind of the Q&A opportunity. Any more questions?
Yeah, definitely. There's quite a few questions here that we can go through. Just wanted to kind of comment on that. A lot of people are very focused on mobile specifically, and it's definitely a great opportunity, and it is what's driving the growth in pay-per-call. But we need to not forget desktop. I've got quite a few campaigns that are running successfully on desktop, and there's a lot more click-to-call integrations directly from a desktop. So I know on a Mac you can now call from your computer, and I believe that you can also use the Google Talk feature to actually call from your computer as well. So let's not forget about desktop. There's still a big opportunity there, and I think that focusing on mobile is definitely low-hanging fruit, but desktop is still an opportunity as well. So.
Well, the great thing here is that you don't have to predict how your visitors are going to access your pages. Like when Google introduced their enhanced campaigns, you wanted to be able to deliver your content in whatever format your visitors needed. And now, again, doesn't matter whether it's desktop or mobile, the page will adapt. It is responsive. It's what people have been asking for it for ages. But it's especially for something like call, it can have a really significant impact.
For sure, yeah.
And actually, one thing I could kind of further add to that, Mike, is that I know I said a landing page should not have 2 different calls to action, but it would give you an opportunity where, let's say on like a desktop page, you could have lead gen with a form where submit your name and phone number and we'll call you right back, versus a phone where they could just include the CTA directly for the call right there.
Yeah, definitely. And that actually brings up a good question. It's sort of a two-parter, but do you have any integration that allows for that to happen, where someone could submit their name and phone number and have it called back or called right back? Do you have anything like that?
We do. I mean, it depends. There are like a number of services that we integrate with. There is a service, I believe it's called Speak to Leads, which is a direct integration where if someone puts in their name and their phone number, they'll submit the form. That then fires off to this other service who will notify you that okay, someone just submitted your form. They want to talk to you. Press 1 if you want to talk to them, and then you kind of hold up your phone, and then it will automatically call that person back.
Okay, cool. That's interesting. I'm interested in that myself, so definitely check that out. But do you also have other either call tracking or call based integration with like Twilio, if by phone, CallRail, those sorts of services as well?
If by phone, yes. So Speak to Leads, then if by phone are kind of the two. But if these services provide you with, let's say, like some JavaScript or even like some custom code for a form, you can add all of that to your pages. So you can add kind of custom tracking. You can add like dynamic phone numbers. You can do whatever it is that you need. So there is support for that, which is something that allows for a lot of flexibility in the way that you integrate with other services.
Right. Cool. That's definitely good to know. And I've used the Unbounce support before, and it's quite good. So it's pretty responsive. Next question I have here is specific to pop traffic, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, Ryan, but pop unders or pop over traffic through different softwares can deliver a ton of traffic, and it can be an issue for us when we're using phone numbers because We have a limited amount of numbers that can be shown per impression. But is there sort of a limit with Unbounce on how many unique visitors per month, or have you dealt with pop-up traffic at all?
Yeah, well, it depends. So for pop-ups or pop-unders, is the idea then, Mike, that like someone would have an Unbounce landing page open up in the pop-under or pop-over?
Yeah, so
okay.
Basically the impression for your ad is the showing of your landing page.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, our various pricing plans do factor traffic in. So we've tried to structure them in such a way, though, that it's not like a huge deal breaker. Like we include tens of thousands of visits in each of the plans. But if someone were running an ad like this, where the conversion rate were apt to be fairly low because it's not like a direct click, then we tend to be pretty understanding. Like you mentioned that you reached out to our support team. I'd say just give us a shout. Like, let's talk. We want to make sure that however you're using Unbounce, you're getting value from it. So we're there to just kind of make sure that, you know, the service is what you need.
Perfect. Okay, and then we have a couple questions here, but they're all, I think they kind of wrap into one, is basically asking about like qualification or questionnaire landers, and basically asking like pre-qualified questions. So, you know, for something like a credit repair or debt repair, you might ask something like, if you have $10,000 worth of debt, or have you talked to a debt consultant, or are you a student? You may want to send them to different landing pages based on that. Does Unbounce allow for that, or is there a way to kind of ask for those questions and have different sections or load or send people in a certain path?
Well, you can collect whatever information you need. So whatever kinds of questions you want to add to your form to be able to qualify your prospects, like that's something we support, no problem. And then we also, like through our integrations with various services, like you can pass that information over to like a CRM or another tool, where typically that's where we see people do the segmentation. Usually it's kind of on the sales side. But if you wanted to send someone to a different follow-up page after they submitted that form, rather than using Unbounce's built-in forms, you would want to work with a service like Wufoo, where they allow you to build kind of custom forms with custom behaviors. They have much, much more advanced logic than we have built into our service. In the way that we really support building landing pages, they support building forms like nobody's business.
Okay, cool.
I would recommend integrating a service like that, and then you'd be able to combine Unbounce with that tool and just do whatever it is you need.
Perfect. So that's Wufoo. How do you spell that out?
Yeah, it's WUFOO.
Okay, cool. All right, and a question about load speeds. Are your servers located internationally?
Really good question. And actually that is one major differentiating feature between Unbounce and other services you might try. We have servers across the world. We have two in America, like one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. We have one in Ireland and one in Singapore. So our load speeds are very, very speedy, no matter where you are. And we have full CDN distribution of all of our images. So that means your page load times are really, really fast. Which then, you know, we've seen in some studies leads to higher conversions as well. Because the longer someone has to wait around, the less likely they are to stay and then eventually convert.
Yeah, and that's another thing that we kind of like about it too is, you know, we get our domain set up and then we point them to Unbounce, and then I don't have to worry about load times and servers and all that stuff. So it's
yeah,
kind of a nice...
we worry about it a lot. Like our goal
cool.
is we aim for 99.999% uptime on our page server, which
awesome.
means that in an entire year it's less than 5 minutes of downtime. So
wow.
we work our asses off to make sure that our infrastructure is really, really solid.
Very cool. That's really good to know. Question about showing your landing page split testing platform. I don't know if you want to kind of quickly log in, or if that's something where we should, you know, have follow up and give them a further demo. I don't know what you...
Well, it's your call. Like I've got, if I switch over here, I have...
Yeah, if you want to just give it a quick run through. We've got quite a few questions here, and you were going a little bit over, but I feel like the value's there, so we'll just kind of keep rolling with this if that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. So when you build a page in Unbounce, I'm just going to quickly create one from a template. As I mentioned before, like these pages, these templates are all created with those kind of main 5 landing page elements included on them. The one thing you're just going to want to consider is like the type of page you're building, whether it's lead gen or click-through. And click-through is what I would select for, you know, if a phone call were a conversion. So we can go with one of those. we'll go with, let's say this, we'll go with the Maya click-through page here. You can also start from a blank page, or we also have templates available in ThemeForest, so there are a lot of options. Like if you click this, you'll see there's something like 80 different templates in ThemeForest now. We'll call this AdWords Spring Promotion 2015. And Mike, is there any clarification for like the split testing on what exactly it is that this person would like to see?
Let me just find that question. It just says, can you please show your landing page split testing platform? I think they just want to get an idea of kind of how that works and how you would set that up between the two different variations.
Okay, sure. So as an example, like I, again, just loaded this page. I changed the CTA, which was formerly like start a trial, to call us now, where I could then include a phone number for like click to call. If I wanted to split test this, once I had the content on here, we allow you to create as many variants as you want, so you can run as many different versions as you like against each other. Depending on your traffic volume, it's a really good idea to just keep it down to like a couple, usually 2 or 3 max. And you'd only ever really want to change one thing. So if you were changing your button text, like just change your button text. And that will tell you if there's a difference in conversion, that it is definitely that button text that produced the difference. But within the page builder, you'll see I'm currently working on the A variant for this page. I can create a duplicate of it. So here's my B now. And if I wanted to split test the button, instead of call us now, I'll change it to book your consultation. That doesn't fit within the button quite as nicely as it did before, so I can just expand that a little bit. I'll shift that over. Or here, let me change this to book my consultation. There we go. So that's really it. B is now book my consultation, and A is call us now. On the page's overview screen, this is where you manage like the stats for the page, the URL for the page. This is where you'll manage your integrations. So Speak to Leads was that service I mentioned. They're there. We can then say call us now is our A variant, and then book my consultation is the B variant. You're able to adjust how much traffic you want to go to each version, so whether you want to do like a perfect 50-50 split or so on. And then after that, like right now, this is the URL. This is my demo account, so my URL is getulianalytics.com/AdWords Spring Promotion. But once I publish, the page will be available there. I'm going to go ahead and publish, but one thing, I'm just going to switch on the mobile responsive page so everyone can see how that works. So if this is the desktop version, you'll see in the lower right-hand corner of the page builder that there's this little mobile icon, and then that shows the mobile responsive page. So if someone were to arrive on a phone, they would see this version instead of the full desktop version.
And you do need to click that mobile page view in the top right. I wish that was defaulted.
Yeah, we had a lot of discussion around whether or not it should be enabled by default, and then we tested it with a number of users. Mm-hmm. And what we found was we didn't want it on by default in case someone didn't customize the mobile version.
Right.
But I think probably what we should do is, and maybe we'll change this, is if you don't switch it on, we'll prompt you to be like, hey, like, do you want to turn on your mobile version?
Right,
so
right.
You don't forget. But yeah, as you see, I also just forgot, so I totally get where you're coming from.
And then the other thing that should be pointed out is the conversion goals, because if we're just doing calls, you want to tie those, the clicks on the potentially on the button as a conversion, so you can figure out which one drives more calls, even though we may not have the deeper call tracking to figure out, which clicks actually led to calls that converted, but you'd at least have an idea of which landing page gets more clicks on that call button.
Yeah, actually, that's a really, really good point, Mike. So when you add, like, whether it is a link or a phone number to your page, it will show up as a conversion goal. You can choose what you want Unbounce to track. So far as knowing, like, where someone came from and what yielded the conversion, if you can pass along any kind of query parameters, so like the search terms that went to an ad, and then you can pass those search terms through to the landing page as in Google Analytics, they're UTM tracking parameters, or GET or URL parameters. There's a million kind of different terms for it. We can capture that tracking information from the URL with the conversion. So we can kind of show you, if you have a form, we can pass all that data into hidden fields. So we can get it for you.
Cool.
All right, so I'll just publish this real quick. And while this is publishing, are there any other questions we can tackle?
Yeah, there are definitely some questions in here. I'm just going to pick, I think we'll do like 3 more, and then if anybody else wants to email those questions to me at mike@ringpartner.com, and we'll do our best to get those answered just so we can kind of wrap this up. But there are some really good questions in here, so I'll just pick 3 more. Let me just find...
Sure, go for it. I'll just show. So here's the page. It's now been published. I'll put this in the little chat panel there.
So here's a good one asking, where can I get more information on this subject? I assume they mean landing pages, and then the example they use is just like ebooks. So I'd personally recommend, to everybody who's asking about landing pages to check out Unbounce's blog for sure. But there's a good link.
In the time that I have been at Unbounce, which is now almost 4 years, I've gotten like a master's in marketing, just based on the content and the marketers we work with. It's unreal. But Mike, maybe if you want to share this URL, it's just unbounce.com/resources. This shows our courses, our guides, our videos. We do like a super fun live session called Page Fights, where we actually critique landing pages with different marketers and guests. We've got our conference and all the videos from our conference last year. The conference was like $500 to attend, and we have all the videos available now. They're great.
Yeah, it was a really good conference. I was at that one, so.
Thank you. I'm really glad that you were able to come. It was great. It was super fun. But yeah, there's ebooks. This is a course that I mentioned when I went through my slides, the Smart Marketers Landing Page Conversion course. I would highly recommend going through this as well if you want a little more education.
Cool. So I'll link to the resources page on the blog post, and I'll try and put it inside the YouTube video comments as well, so people can find it there once we've put the recording up.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
For sure. And another question here. Can you create pop-ups on landing page with Unbounce, like a warning pop-up and click on OK to dismiss?
So if someone were on the landing page and let's say they wanted to leave, would you be able to create a pop-up?
I think that's what it is.
Right. No, that's something that we intentionally haven't included in the product, primarily because what we're trying to do is create very, very valuable marketing experiences, and it's not that a tool like that can't increase conversion, but it tends to piss a lot of people off.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a way to do it, and a way to do it very effectively. I'm showing a lot of integrations with other tools, but there is a tool called Rooster. And Rooster basically takes that concept and sort of levels it up. So rather than just delivering a pop-up when someone tries to leave, this gives you a way to kind of supplement whatever your offering is and add additional value. So if someone's mouse kind of goes up towards the back button, like it happens now, instead of just a little message where you hit OK, it says, wait, do you want to learn how to automatically convert your abandoning visitors? Like, just put your email address in here to get your free guide.
That's pretty cool.
So that is exactly what Rooster does, and they integrate with Unbounce very, very well.
Yeah, and I think that and maybe retargeting campaign of sorts might also be good. The only problem is we don't have the option to remove users by after they've converted, but you may be able to get some extra conversions on a small retargeting campaign that's a little less aggressive than the pop.
Yeah. Well, and one thing about this as a tool, like full disclosure, it's actually one of our very early investors who owns this tool, so I just want everyone to know that's how I know about it. But it happens to work quite well. If you were to implement something like this on your landing pages, it would only improve your conversions. Because it's just a second opportunity to get people to convert. So
very cool. And then we'll do this as the last one, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. So where do you recommend to insert dynamic keyword insertion on the landing page in terms of context?
In order to establish context on the landing page, given that your USP or your headline is kind of serves the function of letting people know they're in the right place and kind of keeping them glued there, I would say you definitely want to make sure that you include it in your headline and your subhead. It can be a little bit tricky to word them exactly right so that any keywords people search kind of make sense. But it is definitely doable, and that would be kind of the #1 place to improve your bounce rate.
Definitely, and I think it's something to be cautious of to use like Google's dynamic keyword insertion and then pre-popping that onto the page. I don't know if you want to go that far because you might get some really weird searches, and then you might be making claims that you don't know or that you can't actually do by dynamically inserting the dynamic actual search term. So I usually like to kind of hard code it by ad group so that it's relative, and then it pops in there so that I make sure that it makes sense, but that it is related, and I always put into the headline. So
that's a really, really good point.
Cool. Well, I think that wraps things up. Like I said, if anybody has any further questions, please email me at mike@ringpartner.com, and we'll do our best to reply with some answers and help you through that. And I'm hoping to have this video up on our blog and on YouTube by at least tomorrow. But I just want to thank Ryan. I thought it was a really great webinar. There's a lot of really great info there, and I think that a lot of these ideas and concepts apply across the board, regardless of whether it's an email or a download or a call. It's general, good best practices for creating a high converting landing page. So I really appreciate that, and I thought you did a great job. And one of the things that's kind of odd about the webinar medium is just that you're making jokes and showing these memes and stuff, and they're really cool, and you can't hear the response, so you don't know if people are laughing.
But no idea.
I was laughing quietly. I had it on mute because I didn't think anybody wanted to just hear my breathing, but I thought that was really good. It made it quite enjoyable with some really relevant stuff. So really appreciate that. I'm glad that we were able to have this webinar. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Mike. And I really appreciate the feedback because exactly as you said, it is a strange medium. And I'm used to speaking in front of people where I can gauge feedback. And right now I'm just a weirdo in a room by myself talking into a computer.
Same. Cool. All right. Well, for everybody, definitely follow Unbounce. They have a really great blog, some really great content there. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Follow their blog. Follow them wherever you can. And do the same for us. We are at RingPartner on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. And check us out. And again, I just wanted to emphasize that CTA Conf, it's in Vancouver. It was a really great conference, one of the best I've been to, and some really focused, great speakers, and it was a really enjoyable one. So definitely check that out if you can make it. And other than that, thanks Ryan, and thanks everyone for attending. And we will hopefully see you at another one of these webinars very soon.
Yes, thanks so much. And thanks everyone for pushing me over the 1,000 Twitter follower mark. I will remember this webinar.
Perfect. All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay, take care.